Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Jason McKie finishing out the week. The Bears got a lot on the line here versus the Saints. Can they prove that they are who we thought they were? A little callback on that one to a team that J-Mack was a part of. J-Mack, the last time we found a way to beat the Saints, you were in a helmet.
That's crazy,
you had
right?
pads on, J-Mac. It's been a rough run versus the Saints here. Got to break all that down. Today's episode brought to you by Underdog. Make picks, win money. Let's jump into the show here, J-Mac. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. It's Friday. It's game day for me and my
baby.
team as well. So the beginning of a football weekend as usual. So excited to get things started tonight and excited to see this Bears team on Sunday.
Y'all took it a little personal. That 50 a great barn burner game 2 weeks ago, right? 55-54. And then you had to get some of that stress out on the loss against the team last week, Jay, man. That was crazy.
Yeah, I tell you, man, our kids have been playing well. They've been bought in all year. They've worked hard in the off season. They've been practicing hard, watching film, putting in the work. They're getting results. So we got a really big game tonight on the road against one of the best teams in the state. But every week it's a big game. In our conference, we're going to play the best teams. We don't shy away from playing the best teams. If you want to be the best, you got to play the best. So We're looking forward to the challenge tonight and getting out there on the road and trying to bring home a dub.
Ain't no ducking. I like it.
No.
Let's break this down, J-Mac. As I said at the beginning of this, the last time the Chicago Bears beat the New Orleans Saints, Thursday, December 11th, 2008. You were on the field for that game, 27-24 win over the Saints. What do you remember about that game, J-Mac?
Really nothing. I knew we won. I knew, and I looked when I was, breaking down and studying this game, and that was the last time we beat them. I saw, and I think the Saints have won the last 8 in a row, which is crazy. To, I couldn't fathom that. But at the end of the day, let's tee this thing up. And it's the Bears coming off a big NFC road win, right? And we talked about it before. We talked about it when they beat the Raiders, Pat, right? You're getting all the attaboys. Good job, attaboy. You're getting all the pat on the back. But can you continue to produce and continue to hone in and continue to prepare and continue to do all things necessary to win a game, even though you're receiving praise and things of that nature? So it's, for me, it's the team resetting, forgetting about last week and focusing on a Saints team that, hey, who cares about their record? They still got a lot of good personnel, a lot of good players on the team, and they're trying to get a win as well. NFC opponent,
J-Mac, it may sound crazy to say, and listen, you are who your record is, right? But this is one of the best 1-5 football teams I've seen. They play incredibly hard. They take every single game just about to the wire. Game versus the 49ers, came down to literally a couple of mistakes made at the end. Game versus the Bills, they were right there in that game all until a weird Philly special call. I don't know what the point of that was, right? And then the Patriots game, Spencer Rattler looked like a dang good quarterback out there in that Patriots game. This is not a game you can sleep on. How do you stay locked in those moments when you're on the field as a player, when you go, listen, this is their record, but they can come in here and beat us for sure?
Yeah, as a player, the NFL is tough, right? Because it is what it is. It's the NFL. It ain't like, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, it ain't like a college team where you have Alabama playing Southeast Kentucky, Missouri State. These are the best guys in the world at their particular jobs. And if there is a school if there is a such thing as a school, I apologize. But
Kentucky, Missouri State. You just know they getting 60 put on them in the first quarter.
That's what I'm saying. And if that school exists, no disrespect, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes,
everybody's professional. Everybody's out there each and every week playing for their job, playing for their last name, playing for their teammates, playing for their organization. So you can't take a game lightly. There's no such thing as, oh, this is a cupcake game. No, like you said, Pat, the Saints have some really good personnel, some really good players. And Spencer Rattler, I don't know if he's a long-term answer down there in New Orleans, but he's playing some pretty decent football. He only has, I think, 1 turnover on the year, one
turnover on the season. A lot of improvement from last year.
Yeah, and he's a dual threat guy. So he's a guy that I think he has to me, watching him on film, he has somewhat of a gunslinger mentality. He's going to put that ball in the air. He'll give his receivers opportunities to go up and get a 50-50 ball. He'll try to fit that ball in tight windows. And he has the mobility to extend plays and punish the defense in that way. So when you have that type of quarterback, you better be on your P's and Q's defensively and understand, like, hey, this guy has the ability to make plays against our defense in a variety of ways.
Yeah, it's surprising, like, to say it that way with a 1-5 football team, but every game I've watched with the Saints, I've been thoroughly. I mean, I guess the Seahawks game was probably the one that stands out as like, you didn't compete in that game at all. But listen, almost every team has that one game, right? Like the Bears had a 52-point blowout that they allowed versus the Detroit Lions this season. Here's the one thing that I'll say, J-Mac, because you said something there. There are no cupcake games. When you're in the locker room, when you're going through the meetings, is there a such thing to you guys? There's a term in the media that you hear all the time as a trap game, where you get caught up looking ahead at the Ravens, who the Bears have next week with Lamar Jackson and Roquan Smith. And maybe you're excited to play that game and you're not as locked in on this game. Because that's truly what this feels like. This type of game could be a trap game for the Bears.
Yeah, my experience, our coaches always did a great job of, keeping us in the moment, making sure that we had our mind on a one game at a time mentality, making sure that we were never overlooking our opponent. And that came with the preparation. It was the same preparation, if not, every week it should be intensified in terms of your film study, in terms of going through your playbook, in terms of, going out there and putting extra work in on the practice field and after practice if you need to work on some things that you can't get done in practice. So it's all about, making sure that you are ready to take on, a really tough opponent. And that was the mentality that our coaches instilled in us each and every week. And I'm sure the great coaching staff that they have over there, Ben Johnson and company, like, man, this coaching staff, like, just have an opportunity to be on the sideline, to be around them, to watch them operate in game, to hear the things, the interactions between them and the players on the bench, on the sideline. I mean, it's awesome. It really is. And I talked in like, one guy who I know when they first brought him in on the coaching staff, who I've been raving about, is Al Harris. I had an opportunity to play with Al Harris my rookie year. Knowing Al Harris since I was in college, his younger brother played on one of my teams that I played on at Temple.
Played against him a ton too, right?
Played against Al a ton. That was like a big brother, and have opportunity to talk to Al on the sideline before every game, right? And it's amazing. Like last game, he comes up to me, he's like, J-Mac, we're gonna get 2. We got 2 today, meaning they're gonna get 2 takeaways. They got 3. You know what I mean? They got 3. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was the Raiders game. He said, J-Mac, we're gonna get 3 today. And how many they have that game? They got 4, right?
They got 4 that game, yeah.
They got 4. Like, and he's saying these things, but it's awesome to see, right? The confidence in your coach, right? The confidence in your coach. And that trickles down to the players, right? Yeah. And there was an interview that our guy Jeff Joniak did with Al this week. And he asked Al, about the takeaways and how are those things coming about. And Al said, it's just a mindset. Like he said, you have to have your mind on taking the ball away. He said, when that ball's in the air, right, and you're a defender, it's not just you going up there and I'm trying to get a PBU, a pass breakup. Yeah. I'm going up there and I'm now the receiver. I'm going to take that ball. I'm going to catch that football. And he said, if you're not thinking about takeaways or your mindset isn't geared toward takeaways, you're not going to get them. And I mean, when you have a player who was as good as I was as a player, who was really good at getting takeaways, and now he's passing it down, coaching it to his players, and you're seeing it happen, it doesn't get no better than that, man. I mean, it gets me excited. It really does.
Yeah. One of the great moments of all time. We want the ball and we're going to score, and then you just see Al streaking down the side, like, it wasn't great for Bears.
I put that finger up.
It wasn't great for Bears fans, but it was like watching it back. It's such an insane moment because it's just like
put that finger up,
immediately took it. Yeah, well, we went to the house. I think here's the thing right now for me, J-Mac. We saw some things in this game that were things we haven't seen from this Bears team to start. And I'll let you pick which direction we want to go here. Do we want to start with the fact that the Bears were able to stop the run, or do we want to go with the fact that the Bears were able to run the football pretty well for the first time this season? You tagged me in the DeAndre Swift apology post. And what I say? Do it again.
What?
Do it again.
Okay. He will.
Do it again. And what did Declan Doyle say? We got to do it again. It was fun for 1 week. We got to do it again.
You got to do it the whole year, not again and again and again and again. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we can. Hey, it's so good, right? When you're having these conversations coming off a good performance by both offense and defensive line, right? And we talked about this last week. I think my first McKie to the game was win the trenches. It was win the trenches. And what did we do? We dominated the trenches. So we can go any which way you want. I'm excited. I mean, I'm still excited, and I know I'm trying to put last week behind us, but I'm excited to see what they were capable of. And now they got to take that to the next level. So, hey, let's start on the offensive side of things, Pat. I think
let's start on the offense. What'd you see from the run game that really got DeAndre Swift going? I thought it was the most locked in. It was the most aggressive I've seen him as a runner, dare I say, in his time as a Chicago Bear to this point.
Yeah, I saw with the variety of schemes that they ran, right, and mainly just zone and gap. And, you know, Coach Johnson came out and talked about it in his press conference and said that, hey, we even dialed things back in terms of the runs that we put into the game plan. Mm-hmm. But he said the way they made it look different is they added what we call window dressing to it, right? They added some motions. They added, you know, they shifted or ran it out of a different formation that they may not have normally ran it out of. And that's awesome because when you do those things, right, the main thing that you want to do, and trust me, I learned this the hard way. I learned this from Olin Kreutz. You know, us game planning for high school. We say, hey, whatever we want to do, I have all these ideas. Whatever we do, let's keep it simple for the O-line, right? So outside zone, you keep things simple for the offensive line, but you window dress it, add a motion, add a shift, doesn't bother the offensive line. Their responsibility and their rules still stay in place, but it looks different to the defense because you have so many motions and things of that nature. And that's what I saw. You saw receivers, you know, running mesh motion and then running outside zone the opposite way. You saw a lot of things in which they were trying to, you know, get the defense to either move with that motion or shift to gain a numbers advantage to the side of the ball that they were running towards. So, yeah, I think when you look at that and you add the fact that the offensive line, you know, really played physical, you know, and in terms of outside zone, they were able to first, if they had a double team, they were able to get that first defender and then climb and get to the second level, right? And it's all about lateral displacement. And I saw an outside zone, the offensive line getting lateral displacement, creating seams and creases for those running backs. And what I saw from DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai is those guys really pressing their aiming points on those runs, right? Outside zone, whether it depends on the coach, the aiming point could be the outside leg of the tight end, it could be the butt of the tight end or the inside leg of the tight end, depending on how you want to implement your scheme in outside zone. But they really did a good job of pressing their aiming point, getting slow by the defense, and then hitting that crease, getting north and south when that crease opened up. And that's what we saw DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai do. But not only hitting that crease, Pat, but running with physicality. So when that defender was there to make a tackle, they delivered that hit. They were the hammer and not the nail, and they were able to gain extra yards after contact. And that's what you want to be as an offense.
Yeah, J-Mac, I think you hit the nail on the head. The part that excited me about it was, right, to use a boxing analogy, right, there was a little rope a dope. There was a little bit of movement. There was a little dance with the feet to get the opponent off kilter a little bit, right? But when I needed to punch somebody in the mouth, you punch them in the mouth. And I thought that's what we saw, right? You see the window dressing. You see the motion from OZ in the backfield, right? And then all of a sudden he's out and trips right. And he's like, wait a minute. What? And then it's a run play up the middle. You're like, wait, well, there was so much happening there for you to run that. But I thought it was the perfect, I said this at the beginning of the week, right? It was the perfect combination of pass and run that we've seen Ben Johnson call this season. Coming off of the bye, it's his best game that I think we've seen him call, where not only did DeAndre Swift look like he was more comfortable, but I thought Ben Johnson was even more comfortable calling some of those run plays, marrying them with the pass plays. Not to say that he wasn't, you know, trying to do some of those things early, but it felt like he found his rhythm as a play caller. Speak to how important that is as well.
Yeah, you look at 29 passes, 27 runs. Talk about balance. Balance is crazy. If you have, I mean, that's crazy. Like that's almost, I mean, that's perfect. You know,
that's perfect. Yeah,
it is. It's perfect. And you know, you talk about marrying the run and the pass, right? So let's go back to, you know, you talk about outside zone and all the runs that they had, right? Well, you look at the big chunk play they had to Luther Burden, right? They came off an outside zone look. They faked outside zone to Kyle Monangai. Yep. Caleb pulled up off run action off outside zone and hit Luther Burden on a deep crossing route for 37 yards, right? But let's go back to how that play began. And I tweeted this out yesterday. That play came about because Caleb came to the line of scrimmage. And if you watch that play, as he came to the line of scrimmage, it looks like they wanted to run outside zone to the tight end to the right, to Cole Kmet's side, right?
Yeah.
Washington, they shifted their defensive line over to that side of the ball. So now you don't have numbers because now there's more defenders than we have blockers. That's what I mean when I say numbers. So what happened was Caleb gets to the line of scrimmage. Kyle Monangai shifts back into the eye. Caleb grabs his ears, right? He's saying, can. He looks at both sides of the formation. Can. He's throwing the first play in the can, and now he's going to the second play that's layered off of that play. So what was that play? It was a play. It was a play action off of that outside zone, right? So that's just good quarterback play. That comes to film study, and that goes back to execution, right? Studying it, seeing it, right, and implementing it into a game, right, and then putting it in action and executing. And that's what happened off of that play. So that's marrying the run and pass, right? Because you had success running outside zone or running the football, right? You call that run, that play action off of outside zone. Them linebackers think it's outside zone. They run up. Now nobody is underneath that deep crossing route that Luther Bird is running because those linebackers aren't getting depth because they're playing the run. Caleb throws an anticipated accurate ball to Luther Burden for 37 yards. Like that's execution. And that's what you got to have if you want to be an elite team, especially in critical situations.
Now we want to talk about it in the sense of the Saints game coming up here. We love what we saw in that Washington game, but as you say, J Mac, right? Every week's a new week, every week's a new opponent, and that don't mean that you're gonna be the same team if you don't put in that same level of focus and effort.
Yes.
This team, what do they need to do to take from that game, to take it into this Saints game here, to maintain that rushing game? Because listen, you get a couple of these games in a row, and now all of a sudden, I think it speaks to the players. I think it speaks to the coaches. The confidence that's built in there becomes, hey, it's not that was a one-time thing. It's, oh, we can do this. We just got to make sure that we follow these steps.
Yeah, it's do it and do it better. Your scheme's going to be the scheme. And like I said, you may change the way you do it, but it's still the same run. And do it better, right? So that means we got to elevate our level of physicality. We saw what we're capable of doing. Now let's take it to another level because because at the end of the day, right, you want a team to progressively get better throughout the season. And if your level of physicality is exactly what we saw against the Commanders, you can't go to another level. Well, then you're not getting better as a team, right? You're not going to be playing your best football when it matters. So that goes to both sides of the ball in terms of the trenches, right? Elevate your level of physicality, right? We saw a defense that was flying around. Look at the Montez Sweat force fumble, right? That came about because you had defensive hats getting to the ball, and then Montez came in and he punched the ball out. Takeaway. You know what I mean? That's playing physical. That's playing, a good brand of football. And that's what they got to do.
Yeah. And I think, looking at the defensive side, I want to get into that as well because we got to talk about this defensive line. Extremely excited at how the defense as a whole stopped the run. But we got to talk about Tyrique as well. I feel like he's been an under-talked about topic this week when, listen, we want to scream out some of these guys' sins, but we don't want to scream their praises. And outside of one play, Tyrique Stevenson had a heck of a game. So I want to get to all of that coming up next. But first, we do got to tell you guys all about Underdog. J-Mac, we have this parlay going for the show, the Chicago Bears podcast parlay right now. And you know what? We've got a Roma Dunze anytime touchdown at this point. We've got Alvin Kamara, or lower, I should say, 71 and a half rush and receiving yards. J-Mac, what do you want to add there? Maybe a little Caleb Williams play? Maybe a little Caleb Williams play in that? We've got higher or lower than 1.5 touchdown passes.
This is a Saints team that is, I think they're tied for third in terms of touchdowns allowed passing with 14. And when you look at, in that situation, the secondary is the Achilles heel of this defense. Drake May threw for 3 last week. He should have had more. He threw for 3 last week.
All right. Shout out to Underdog. Appreciate them for supporting the show as always. Download the app today. Sign up using the promo code CBP to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code CBP. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Right now, the play is Roma Dunze anytime touchdown. Alvin Kamara, lower than 71.5 rush and receiving yards. And Caleb Williams, higher than 1.5 touchdowns. Make sure that you guys tap in with Underdog today. EOQ, the disclaimer. Must be 18 years or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or over in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right, welcome back into the Chicago Bears podcast, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, today's episode, as always, brought to you as well by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find you at Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes, or they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana, Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field. Exit 6 I-80 94. All right, J-Mac, I want to talk about this defense as a whole. We talked about how the run game got itself going. I think now defensively, we got to talk about a defense that stopped the best rushing attack in football. What did you see that really stood out about how they stopped Lil Bill in a way that I think nobody has really been able to do over the last couple of weeks? And not only that, though, just how they were actually able to slow down the rushing attack and kind of make it like, Jaden, if you don't run, no one's running. That's something we haven't seen from this Bears team this season.
Yeah, I saw a defense that played downhill. And what I mean by downhill is, right, being able to win your one-on-one matchups, or when you're being double teamed, right, being able to take up that double team to free somebody else to flow to the football. And we've seen guys get to the football this year, but what have we seen a lack of? We've seen a lack of efficient tackling. So I've seen guys, when they had an opportunity to bring that ball carrier to the ground, they brought them to the ground by being fundamentally sound and making that tackle. And, you know, it goes back to just guys understanding their assignment, being in the right gap, not giving up a lane because there's a misassignment. We have two guys in the same gap, and now we allow a crease for that running back or that ball carrier. So I saw a good defense in terms of them being in the right place, understanding their rules and their responsibilities. But then I saw tackling. And not only tackling, like I said before, I saw gang tackling. I saw guys rallying to the football, right? And when guys rally to the football, good things happen. And Dennis Allen talked about that in his press conference this week, right? I love the term he used. He said, hey, we got to populate the football. We got to get population around the football, which is true. Like, you got to get guys around the football, and good things happen when guys are around the football because that ball comes out, bam. What happens? We're right there to recover that fumble. And we saw that, right, with Nashun Wright. And it wasn't necessarily one of our defenders, you know, punching that ball out. Thanks to the weather, I think that had a lot to do with it. But guess what? Because we were around the football, Pat, and because guys were where they were supposed to be playing that particular run, well, guess who recovered that ball? The Bears.
Yeah, no, 100%. Listen, you had 2 takeaways and 1 turnover in that game. And I love that Dennis Allen differentiated those in his press conference, right? He was like, look, sometimes when it's going your way, the ball falls your way. But 2 of those, we took them. Like it was a Jaquan Brisker perfect position. Let me take this the other way. And it was, you know, listen, as much as there's been scrutiny on Montez Sweat, and rightfully so. Listen, you're one of the highest paid players on the team. Your sack totals basically don't exist for the season. But I thought that we saw a lot of really good pressure from Montez. I thought that he was forcing Jaden Daniels to have to make some tough decisions and forcing Jaden Daniels to use his legs. Unfortunately, Jaden Daniels is a very elusive player, and so Montez wasn't able to get him down on a couple of opportunities that you thought he had. But, you know, that big tipped pass on third down there that forced the 4th down where he just gets his arm out and is able to get to the ball. Of course, the forced fumble is because of him, because and I love how Dennis Allen brought this out as well. Most of the turnovers in this league are going to be top-down turnovers. It's going to be punching down at the football. One of your teammates, the Peanut Punch, has really taken over this NFL, and you've seen a Bears team over the last few weeks that has truly embodied that. That's something to me that if you take into this Saints game and you find a way to get some of those turnovers, plus the pressure that we saw from Montez, didn't get the sacks, but the pressure on Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler ain't Jaden Daniels. He's playing really well right now, but there's a difference between Jaden Daniels' speed and Spencer Rattler's speed, and it's probably about 1 sack. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, it was who was the coach? It wasn't Stefanski. One of the Browns coaches. They was like, why can't you do the same things with Manziel that you could do with Baker Mayfield? And he was like, well, it's about a second of speed difference there, and that means a lot in the NFL. You know what I mean? Oh no, it was RG3 to Johnny Manziel. That's what it was. He's like, why can't you do the same stuff? Like, well, let me let you know why. Like, to me, this is a game where Spencer Rattler, if you get that same pressure that you got on Jaden Daniels, pressure burst pipes, and I think this could be one where you see Spencer have one of those Seattle Seahawk type games.
Yeah, and I think, you getting the 3 sacks, right? You're seeing that, hey, we're starting to finally get to the quarterback. And the good thing about Dennis Allen is, right, he did it in a variety of ways, right? And in terms of, giving a variety of different looks on that defensive front, right? There was times where you saw Shamar Turner playing defensive end. You saw Javon Dexter line up at DN, and then they ran some type of twist. They ran a TE where now Javon came back inside from defensive end, and now he was rushing on the inside, like creating confusion with that offensive line, right? To make the communication hard for that offensive line and pass protection, And it's tough when you have a bunch of different looks, right? You got a bunch of different guys in places that they're not normally in, right? Things that you didn't see on film. You're like, oh boy, like, okay, now how do we got to stick to our rules, but now my rule doesn't apply here because now the D tackles line up at D, and I know there's some type of game or some type of twist, going on. And as an offense, can we communicate that and be able to execute that in pass protection, right? And you got to create confusion with a young quarterback like Spencer Rattler, and with a solid offensive line. They've got some pretty good offensive linemen. They invested a lot of money in draft picks into that offensive line of the New Orleans Saints. So it's going to be a challenge, but I think you continue to build upon what you did up front defensively against the Commanders. And I think you could have some success against, a Spencer Rattler who's not as mobile as a Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, right? Sometimes I asked Dennis Allen yesterday, I was like, how do you evaluate the pressure on quarterbacks that are mobile like Jaden, where your guys may be in the right position, but there's a magician play that happens right after that. You know what I mean? Like Jaquan Brisker, both hands on the quarterback. Somehow Jaden slithers out of it, and now all of a sudden he's running up the field. And it's just, those are the moments where I love what Dennis Allen said. He said, all you can do is put yourself in the position to make those plays. And if you put yourself in those positions more times than not,
right,
you're going to be able to get that job done. If you continue to put them in those positions this week versus Spencer Rattler versus Alvin Kamara, who's really struggled this season to get himself going, I truly think there's going to be a lot of good things that can happen for the Bears in this game. Not to say there's going to be a blowout, but I do think that you can put yourselves in very advantageous situations where maybe it's a little more relaxed to finish out the fourth quarter, because we've been stressing the last couple of weeks, J-Mac.
Your roof's got more layers than the Conspiracy Podcast.
Is that a sandwich wrapper?
Ah, yes. Vintage 1988. It really builds character.
Avondale Roofing. Inspect smarter, dig deeper, and get to the core of your roof's health.
Right.
Before we get out of here, though, I do want to talk about this because in the media, we always have a tendency to scream the sins but never sing the praises of the players when they actually go out there and live up to everything that you end up putting on them, right? The fans, the media, everything that they put on, and some of it, listen, in Tyrique Stevenson's situation, that he put on himself. He made a bad play, previous game, talking to the fans, runs out to the field, tips the ball into the hands of Noah Brown. Bears lose the game, a game you should have won last season. Season kind of falls apart after that. The falling apart is not on Tyrique, but that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. I thought outside of one play where I guess playing it not the wrong way, he's playing aggressive, he's playing up, double move, really got a hold of him, and he buckled a little bit. I thought Tyrique Stevenson played a heck of a game, and for most of that game felt like one of those shutdown type corners that you see in this league.
Yeah, it's good to see a player, who's faced a lot of adversity, early on in his career, and he's actually starting to understand the game. You can see he's starting to feel comfortable within this Dennis Allen scheme, right? Yeah. And a lot of times, the scheme helps define that player, right? Or that scheme that you implemented really fits that player's skill set. And Dennis Allen, I think, as we're starting to see, I think Tyrique's style of play is perfect for Dennis Allen's scheme. And it's coming at the right time for the Bears, especially when you lost Jalen Johnson, right? You needed another guy to step up. And Tyrique's been that guy. And he's responded well, right? He's answered the call of the critics so far. A lot of season left, but he's playing good football at the right time in which the Bears needed him to. So it's awesome to see young, talented player who's making plays right now. And it's awesome to see because Tyrique's a good guy, man. He really is. And it's been good to see him go out there and produce and make plays.
Listen, and take the PFF numbers for what you want. I don't know which side of the argument you want. I lean on the J.J. Watt side of the argument. You know what I mean? Me and you have been talking about this for years. They got Uber drivers out here, according to J.J. Watt, grading football players on where their technique and how many pressures are given up.
Right.
But they don't know what the job is of the player there. So like I said, take all these numbers for what you want. But right now, Tyrique Stevenson, PFF run defense grade, he is the best cornerback in football out of 171 cornerbacks. And I'll be honest with you, I think you've seen that his help in the run, how he's rallied to the football, how he's caught. I mean, last week, Krosky Merritt had a play where it looked like he was going to be able to get out of the backfield, shoestring tackle, still a tackle, no gain there for Tyrique Stevenson. Like, those are the moments to me where when you look at what how a guy has developed his game, it's not just in the coverage for Tyrique. He's becoming what I would call a total corner that you can put in any situation. And I told you, J-Mac, when you see him in the locker room, ain't no haircut, ain't no lineup right now. The beard's going a little bit locked in.
Locked in. And that's what you want. He got a young guy locked in. And like you said, playing some good all-around football. And I played with a lot of corners like that. Charles Tillman was a corner that was great in pass coverage, super aggressive in the run game, would tackle, would try to hit you. Obviously, we know what he did with the peanut punch, but having a young guy like Tyrique be effective in the passing game, like that just adds, you got corners that are physical and that can tackle, and they're good at, they're good support players and they're good force players and forcing the run back inside to where that help is, and they're good at setting edges. There's a lot of things that you can do in terms of a defense. And, that's what we've seen out of Tyrique right now.
Yeah, 100%. Need to keep that going here. This week, another tough matchup as always in that wide receiver room. And I think, Shaheed is somebody you got to watch out for as well. A couple of really nice players over there in New Orleans. J-Mac, before we get up out of here, as always, man, we got to get your McKees to the game. Jason McKie, one of the McKees to a game. Everybody okay over there? Everybody okay? The wife good? Is somebody dying back there?
She's coughing, man. The wife's coughing. Right on the keys to the game. So
right on the keys to the game. She like, they're gonna win. They're gonna win.
Right,
I like it.
Right. She was queuing me up before you queued me up.
Hurry up.
So right. The first one, I said it when we started the pod, Pat, it's forget about last week and records don't matter. I don't care what the Saints record is. Their personnel is very good. They play a physical, hard-nosed, aggressive style brand of football under a new coach. And under that new coach, everybody knows, hey, my job's on the line because this coach is still trying to find the right formula, the right mix of guys to add and to remove in that locker room that's going to help him keep his job. So they got to play hard. And they know this is a win that they got to have on the road against an NFC opponent like the Bears at their place. So it's, hey, the Bears, you got to forget about last week. Take the praise, but make sure you're sticking to the preparation and taking that preparation to another level. And the mindset has to be, hey, we got to win. It's a must win for us against an NFC opponent at home.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. That should be the mindset. That should be. The second one, we talked about it as well. It's elevate the level of physicality. That's within the entire team, all three phases: offense, defense, special team. Let's take the level of physicality that we put on tape last week. Let's take it to another level. Let's be a different team than we were last week in terms of the physicality department. Let's exceed what we put on tape and let's take it to another level. And the third one is the defense, right? We talked about it. Get Spencer Rattler uncomfortable. Give him the different looks, right? Get home on the pass rush. Win your one-on-one matchups. When that opportunity presents itself, get Spencer Rattler's jersey dirty. It's supposed to be rainy. It's supposed to be windy. Yeah. Hey, let's get him on the ground. And the
You've
last
had two tough weeks on the sideline, J-Mac.
It's been tough. It's gonna be another tough one. We'll be all right, Pat. I might be in a snowsuit, man.
Been a little wet out there, dog.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. The last one, I'm going to the offense, right? And here's the thing, right? Saints defensive front really good linebackers, right? Good defensive line. Well, guess what? Where they're weak at is that secondary. And what I'm going to say is, hey, Caleb, find the Kool-Aid. When I say that, I'm talking about find Kool-Aid McKinstry. All right, he's given up 4 touchdown passes, Pat. He's got 2 picks, but he's given up 4, right?
Kool-Aid been struggling.
Find the Kool-Aid, Pat. Find the Kool-Aid. Hey, because Caleb, like I talked about it with Underdog, right? We talked about over 1.5 touchdown pass for Caleb. I think you can book that. I think Caleb's going to get that. You know, like I said, Drake May threw 3. Should have had more. This Saints secondary is not playing well.
A
little suspect. So, hey, Caleb, the ball is going to be wet. It's going to be rainy. You know what I mean? I know they practice with a wet football up there at Hallis Hall this week. Caleb's still going to be putting that ball in the air because he has that type of arm talent. I like Caleb against the secondary. That's the underdog pick, but that's also one of my keys to the game. Take advantage of the secondary.
I love it. I mean, I remember Kool-Aid McKinstry came out, and I was like, this got to be a nickname. And then I looked up the real name, and I was like, I would have went with Kool-Aid too. You know, JaQuincy McKinstry. I'd have went with Kool-Aid too. Yeah, you got to call me something else.
Man, why do we do that? Why do we do that?
Hey, bro, J-Mac, I swear to God, I literally, when I read this, I said, we got to do better. We got to do better as the people.
You have to, man. Don't do that. You scarred them. You scarred them. I like the name.
Listening right now, just like, dang, dog. I thought I like my name.
He ain't like it. He changed it. He ain't like it. He changed it to Kool-Aid.
He went to Kool-Aid. He said Kool-Aid is the better option.
Right. Hey, hope he's Kool-Aid out there on Sunday.
Hey, I hope he got that Kool-Aid smile as that ball go over his head.
Me too, man.
Madunze. Hopefully this Bears team does go in there and get a win. I predicted yesterday, J-Mac. I think I went 27-24. I got a little closer, but kind of a more comfortable 27-24. You get the lead, defense shuts it down type of situation. What are your thoughts on how this game is going to finish out, J-Mac?
Yeah, obviously Bears win. I don't have a score prediction. You know, I just want them to go out there and continue to play good football, continue to build upon the things you did that you've done the past 2 weeks. And you know, you got to win a game. So I don't care what the score. I don't care if you win by 1. I don't care how you win, the style and the way you win. You got to win this game. The NFC is going to be a log jam, right? And this is an NFC opponent, so you want to get another win against an NFC opponent this Sunday. So just win the game. I don't care how. Just win.
Find a way to get a dub. Hopefully at home, Bears are able to defend. Much better road team this year than we thought we'd be, and you got to win the ones at home. You dropped Minnesota at home already, so you want to find a way to fight back in that as well. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Remember that final play with Underdog that was Caleb Williams higher than 1.5 touchdowns from J-Mac today, on top of 71.5 rush and receiving yards lower for Alvin Kamara, and then a anytime Rome Odunze touchdown higher on that as well. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Y'all stay safe out there. Chicago, bear down. One love.